Okay. Ideally. Welcome back, everybody. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties, but you know, sometimes you really can't predict these things. Please just ignore me. Can I slap you? Is that allowed? Perfect. Sometimes mountains are actually mountains. No, that's tea, actually. Tentacle difficulties, testicle difficulties, all of the above. And if this doesn't work, then we just go next. But I would really like to play this game, so please load. Hello, Goose Games. What it's like to actually be slapped with a girl cock. I mean, if I go to Indiana, you know. Have you done a Countess look? If I say no and I said this was my test drive for something like that, you didn't hear anything from me. But my stuff is supposed to come in the mail tomorrow. Thank you. It was literally inspired by Countess, Mia Goth, and then I keep forgetting their name. If it doesn't work, I can launch it through Origin, and the Origin one works. The Steam port, I guess, just isn't working because we're back here, and I turned off all the graphics. So I lost interest at Countess, please. Okay, this isn't working. I will not a life I do not deserve. Are you okay? I'm breaking ankles with Goose. Are you playing DVD together? Or playing Fortnite? Can I please? When is it my turn to be happy? Okay, we're good. The stream isn't gonna crash now. Okay. Do I have the Origin launcher? Don't buy this Steam port. This is a PSA. Don't buy the Steam port of Alice Madness Returns. This is the worst port I've seen in a fucking while. Origin download. Actually, I think it's on Game Pass. We'll try Game Pass. Whatever we can do. Yep, it's on Game Pass. Well, when we played it before, like originally, it was through EA and Origin, and it worked fine. But my issue is now that I have to suck a dick. I don't know. Just saying words. Game Pass did the same thing. Why is the port so bad? It's not that crazy of a game to port. Like, it's not that serious. We've played it before, so I can get it working. It's just a matter of how I get it working, and I'm doing it on stream opposed to setting it up beforehand. Either that or we play Bikini Zombie Slayers. I don't care. Like, I really do not care what the fuck we played today. so no one can play it. There's no way that nobody's able to play this game right now. Like, I'm not gonna be hyped for this game and then not play it. Excuse me, I'm gonna play it. I'll put my foot down. I want to get more sheer gloves. I should get like white gloves, red gloves. They just make me feel so sexy. Steam is working. Mine is not. We'll try this, and then if not, we'll try another solution. Anyway, if you want me to call if you want to call me mommy and step on your balls, you can now pay a fine toll of $3. Oh shit, this is gonna be loud for y'all. I muted it. You're good. Very loud. Oh god. Is there a discount if I don't have balls? Yeah. I'm playing on Game Pass and it loaded up the same file from my Steam. Huh. I don't think that's correct. Is it the same volume too? It is. I'm playing on Game Pass. That's weird. To me, there's no graphics settings though. Like, Cole, you were saying turn down the graphics. Like, there's no graphics besides the resolution. What do they want me to play? 800 by 600? We'll get to the bottom of this. Alice Madness Returns. PC port not working. Infinite loading. Alice from Madness Returns compilation of fixes. PC port. Go to Steam. To fully get rid of the freezes, you have to download a crack that disables the DRM altogether. I won't link a download, but Googling Alice Madness Returns fix will help you out. Be sure to back up alicereturns.exe. Updating. What the fuck? There has to be a Steam tutorial. Hold on. I know how we're gonna do this. We're gonna get there, chat, but it's gonna take me a fucking minute. Okay, we're going to Steam. Here, I'm gonna go to my face card while I fix this. So let me like uncrop this. We're on this together. It strengthens the chat. Like we're all in this together. Not 76 people online this game. Wait, hold on. 76 people are playing now? No. Okay. Top rated of all time. Alice Madness Returns DLC in Steam? If you want to unlock all the dresses, go to the game folder and install this. What? Change this line from false to true. Bitch, I'm gonna need my glasses for this. Are we okay? Are we good? Oh god, I look bad with my glasses on. Is this what y'all see? Oh, I like when I'm blurry. Oh, y'all look at this and say I look stunning? Oh, wow. Maybe everybody should look through my lens and not have... Ew, I'm so ugly. I literally look hideous. Like, I really should have never put my glasses on. Like, is this what y'all really see on the daily? Uh-huh, right. Okay, so you guys lie to me on the daily. Okay, got it. I like a nice filter. Can we bring that back? What? The spiral begins. Steam apps, common, Alice Madness Returns, config. There's no config folder. Okay. Oh, Alice game config. And then open default engine. I'm like in the mainframe right now. Find the line GI specials. Uh-huh. Okay, while we have this open. This game has a tendency to stop for a second or two and resume and ending a crash. Go to Steam apps, common, binaries. Win2 core. Rename the EA core server to something else. EA core server.exe. Where is that? Rename. This will make a duration of this a lot less visible. To get rid of the freezes, you have to download something. Why don't they just post it? Like, is it that serious? Girl. I literally, what does that say? Cock and ball torture. No instructions needed. If not sure, back up the Steam apps and replace it with the cracked version. Why do I have to do this? Where's my man to come in and do this for me? Okay, returns. It's supposed to be a rar. It's not a .rar. Extract here. It's a rar file. Harming, I am in shambles right now, babe. I need your assistance. Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you, thank you. Oh, my bot's not on because I restarted my fucking computer. Oh my god, my glasses. We're trying to play Alice Madness Returns and it's like crashing. Like it won't start. Like we can't even get the game to start. So like we're doing our thing. Okay, so I need to put this Steam apps Alice Madness Returns. Binaries Win32. Oh shit. Oh. Oh wow. Okay, hold on. I know what to do. Okay. Should be good to go now. I'll be the fucking judge of that. But thank you for the raid, Harming. What did you do over there? Hi, Hangry. So sorry, everybody that's like walking in, and I'm like, just everything is happening right now. It's literally a DRM issue. I don't know what that means. Literally have no idea what that means. I think I got it to work. Oh, bitch, I'm a genius. It's fucking working, bitch. I'm literally a god. And it has all the DLC unlocked, and we can play the original Alice Madness Returns. Oh, we're set up. Oh, my boobs almost came out. Okay, I need to quit the game, and I need to get the controller to work. So, bear with me for 2 more seconds. We're almost there, y'all. Bitch, we're gonna be up fucking late tonight. But who gives an F when you're us, the Nemesis Network, that is always up late? And fucking what about it, bitch? Hi, Bean. Okay, Alice. Okay, manage, controller config, browse, gamepad, apply, game, play. And it's just like that, just like magic, just like magic. Middle finger in my butt, just like magic. Women in STEM, true. Okay. Let's see. You please turn down the volume because it's fucking loud. Oh, don't do all this, Ganj. Oh. Okay. We made it. Fucking 30 minutes later. Yeah, can we give it up for the dress? Can we give it up for the intelligence, the artistry of me? And look at that, you can play the original right there. Like, my mind. Here we go. We did it. We did it, Joe.
Come now, Alice. It's only a dream.
It's not a dream, it's a memory. And it makes me sick.
Now, focus. Wait. You're floating again. Weightless. A cipher. Relax.
I'm in hell.
Forget it. Abandon that memory. It's unproductive. Go to Wonderland.
I can't. I'm trapped in my past.
Sergeant, this girl's badly burned. Call for a doctor!
Elfie, thank you so much for 12 months. 3 month streak. Thanks, babe. Enjoy your ad-free viewing. They are making a TV show out of this.
Discard that delusion. Forget it. Go to Wonderland.
I'd rather not, Doctor. My Wonderland's shattered. It's dead to me.
Your preference doesn't signify, girl. Now, Alice, where are you?
I'm sailing with a friend. It's different somehow. Things have changed.
Change is good. It's the first link in the chain of forgetting.
What's happening? Are you mad?
I'm not mad.
Rabbit,
That's not right. What's he doing?
is something wrong?
Something wrong?
Oh, no, not that!
Don't struggle, Alice. Let the new Wonderland emerge.
Pollution. Corruption. It's killing me. Wonderland is destroyed. My mind is in ruins.
Forget it, Alice. Block that dream. Wake at the sound.
Good night, Liv. Thanks for hanging.
There, Alice. Better now, aren't we?
My head's exploded and there's a steam hammer in my chest.
Yes, well, the cost of forgetting is high.
My memories make me vomit. What can I...
Remember other things.
I want to forget. Who would choose to be alone, imprisoned by their broken memories?
I'll set you free, Alice. Memory is a curse more often than a blessing.
So you've said many times, and...
And I will say again, the past must be paid for. Now, before our next session, collect those pills from our high street chemist.
Very well, Doctor.
It's my turn to forget, Alice.
Now, Charlie. Your pa was hung for killing your ma who beat you. Let's forget that, shall we?
What the?
The past is dead, Charlie. Miserable hovel, the family wasn't.
Ollie pinched me smalls.
Wear bloomers.
The loo smells awful.
Worse than your room?
I love this part of the game when you're like in the city.
Wasting Doctor's time.
I deserve my bitter tears. Want some?
Hi, Cams.
10 years in the loony bin. No, Ma, no relation. She's an orphan.
Mr. Payne had no idea how humble a home could be. If not for my drawings and the photographs, this could pass for my room at the asylum.
Doctor's pet. Too good for the asylum. Mad as a hatter without the charm. Killed her family. Who'd want her?
You guys are nasty.
Another day, a different dream, perhaps.
I've got happy memories of this place. This place is all epic. Which particular memory do you have? You know the one. She pops up.
You like Boccherini, Missy? How about Paganini?
You seen the price of cheese these days?
It's outrageous.
Outrageous is a strong word, Jake. It's a shitting over the odds, maybe. You know.
I want to see, like, because I've played this before, I want to see if there's, like, anything hidden that...
Hang off, Missy. Move along.
like, you wouldn't see before.
She ever work? Wears her black. Too good for company. She don't get close. Hates being touched. Who likes it then?
Sunman's coming
Never
in
slap,
a car,
spike,
with
or like.
moonbeam windows and with wheels of stars. So hush, you little ones, and have no fear. The man in the moon who is the engineer.
Especially the bleeding cherry. We'll see it.
Kitty.
Hello, Puss. Puss, 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 Puss. Don't be afraid.
Oh, puss, 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 puss. Oh, she likes the puss. You better.
Now, where has that cat gone?
Look right there.
Bloody lousy
Like a real job. No changing nappies. Better than being...
Waist is teeny. Her body goals, like actual body goals right here. Wow. Okay. I want to be her so bad.
Excuse me, sir. You look like a discerning gent.
The women's bodies in this game are stunning.
Can afford it anyway.
I want to be them so bad. Oh, to be her.
Seems following furry creatures into dark holes has become a habit. I hope it's not a vice.
There's a joke in there somewhere with what she just said, but it's okay. I'll ignore.
The stars and garters. Alice Little. Slumming again, are we?
Nurse Witless. What luck. Twice in as many months.
Out on your own? You look frazzled, dearie. Not doing well?
Not really.
Come along home then and look at my pigeons. Pretty birds, like you.
I don't think so. Our last visit cost me several pounds and got me nowhere.
I might recall where your mangy rabbit got to. Still a mess. No surprise. Her kin roasted like chestnuts right before her eyes. 10 years in Rutledge Asylum wasted everyone's time. Dr. Bumby won't do better. Still hauling out her questions. The fire, her memory. I deserve consideration, don't I? Who found her new clothes? Who got her a place at Bumby's? Where'd she be without me? On the streets, selling her backside. Likes my pigeons, though. She's doled out the odd pound or two. But what I know is worth more than that. Kept her secret, haven't I? Heard her say, all died on my account, I couldn't save you. I've told her my silence is for sale. Cheap. I'm a good sort, really. Not like her nanny, that uppity whore. Or that lawyer fellow Radcliffe took a stupid rabbit. Need money. Warned her I'd tell the coppers if she didn't make a donation to my upkeep. She yells and goes off her head. Days she can't remember her name, what I heard.
You're not really supposed to know what's happening in this type of game. It's one of those games you're not really supposed to know what's happening until the end, really.
Nurse Witless, do you mean to harm me? To send me back to the asylum?
I won't say no. I've a thirst you could photograph. Need a drink.
Mormauer needs weapon.
The audio mixing? That was so loud.
Pretty birds, like you.
Go to Wonderland.
Killed
It's only a dream.
And that's Mother. Mother check. God, this game's so fucking pretty. I just love the, like, who was it that replied to my tweet? I said, this is probably one of the best games of all time. And he said, oh my God, maybe not. Like, just say you hate women. Just literally say you hate female protagonists.
Very upsetting journey. But I'm rid of Pris, or whatever.
What's
she's
your
become.
favorite game? Call of fucking Duty, you fucking loser?
At least the place I've landed is somewhat
Get
familiar.
a job.
About time, too, Alice.
Blasted cat. Don't try to bully me. I'm very
I would
much
like
on
to do an
edge.
Alice cosplay.
Perfect. When you're not on edge, you're taking up too much space.
You're no help at all.
But you know I can be.
I'll frighten myself. When
I'm in my
necessary,
I
not
actually
so much.
don't give a
I
fuck
was
era.
hoping to
Like,
escape from
literally,
all
you have
that.
no idea.
Abandon that hope. A new law reigns in this Wonderland, Alice. It's very rough
I don't care
justice
if I
all
want to
round.
experiment with new
Live
makeup
with
shapes and it
fear.
looks bad on
You
stream. Like, it's
be
just
on your guard.
tomorrow's a new day. Like, I don't give a fuck about, like, my IRLs hating me. Like, I'll say what the fuck is on my mind. I will literally tell anybody how it fucking is. Like, I literally am in my IDGAF era. Like, I literally DGAF. Like, I just spend money every day and just don't even think about it. Like, I'm just buying coffee and, like, bagels every day, and I don't even look at my bank account. Like, it's not healthy, but, you know.
You're part frog, Alice, I swear. You jump so well.
I wouldn't recommend that mindset to anybody besides myself, but it's fine. Like, this game is so... I need a morning bagel, bitch. Like, every fucking morning I need that everything bagel, or it's a wrap. They need to make games like this again. Like, what happened to this era of games? Do you remember this, like, time frame of gaming? Like, all of the best games came out in this era of gaming. Like, from Xbox to, like, 360 to maybe the start of New Gen was good. I honestly literally could not tell you in the last, like, 10 years,
again, Alice,
maybe
I'll
5,
expire.
a game that I'm like,
You're too tired to
wowza.
be reckless, my girl.
Amanita muscaria, Alice, is merely a stinky toadstool. A spongy consistency, but poisonous.
I don't know. I don't know why they haven't made a third game. I think they talked about it, but then it got canceled. Like, the original creator posted a GoFundMe and it didn't get enough money. Or it did, and then he stopped making it.
I've been down
There
this
were
road
talks of
before.
another game, but it
Big
got
things in
axed.
small packages.
Because
Though lacking a bathing costume, a plunge in that pool is in order.
My God, I'm shrinking in this potion. Shall I disappear?
Almost. But the upside is that while smaller, you can see things that are nearly invisible to your bigger self.
Ah, I get it. Quite. Forests for the trees. Just the other way round.
I don't think it's still in early
Short-sighted
stages. I
is
think
more
it's
than a
like
matter of
he's been
perspective.
working on it, but he wants to take his time with it. I would too. Considering how good this game is, you know?
All curled up, she's barely there. A vixen in her hidey-hole.
I would love to do a cosplay of this though. Makes me sad that I just dyed my I had a black lace front unit that was human that I used to wear all the time because I thought black hair was my thing. Nowadays probably not. But I messed with I dyed it so I couldn't really. I mean, I could do blonde Alice, but is that really the goal here? We're going for this Alice because this Alice slays. I need to get purple shampoo though, like ASAP. Yeah, she has like hiccups and burps. It's really cute. I love the slide sections of these games. I don't care. Some people hate on them. I think they're so fun. I didn't know you were there, Marshy. I thought you fell asleep again. 'Cause I know you love your naps. Dead bodies.
The vorpal blade is swift and keen and always ready for service.
Mother! I need to find my prop
I've not
knife.
come back here looking for a fight.
Really? That's a pity. One's certainly
I should probably add
looking
like
for
more
you.
cosplays to my throne, because cosplays aren't that expensive. Like, in hindsight, yeah, maybe $50 is pretty expensive, but that's like the same. Like, a lot of them are a lot more expensive. I feel like an Alice one would be pretty cheap. Like, you can just buy the ones that come from the costume store, and then you can accessorize it, and it looks fine.
Flight or fight implies a permanent choice, but flight often just means
Yeah,
putting
you
off
could
the
literally
fight
just
for another
get
day.
an apron and
Choose
then
your
a
battles
puffy
wisely,
blue
Alice.
shirt. I already have an apron, but I don't have a puffy blue shirt. But I'd like to get an apron that I can like bloody up. It's like that's kind of her whole thing.
Ugly, gross, and evil in a single monstrosity.
The audio mixing's not it.
A flower's purpose is simple and immutable. Human purpose is fickle, because it is a slave to memory. Memories must be strictly managed, Alice. Unproductive ones must be eliminated.
The way I was on a good sleep schedule for the duration of PAX, and now like I'm gonna have to get back on one because TwitchCon, but I'm slowly falling back into a bad sleep schedule, so I'm gonna reset my my weird sleep schedule again. It sounds bizarre, but cons are exhausting. I don't think that's I don't think anybody understands. There's so, especially if you're in drag the entire time, bitch. My god. Hi, house music. No, you are. No, you are. No, you are. No, you hang up first. Oh shit, I almost just died. Hee hee. Mother Alice is mothering. I love this part.
Ah, it's you again, Alice.
Queen.
You may approach.
Why would I do that? You want to eat me?
Yes, well, you taught me manners, and I've lost my taste for mad women. Strictly a porcine diet for me. Everything's better with bacon, don't you agree? Of course you do. Now, there are
True,
big slouts
actually.
scattered about. I heard a few behind the house. Go fetch them for me. But take care for the pests that block your way. Pepper them up if they do. They need spice, and you're just the girl to season them for me.
Wait.
You'll find that grinder serviceable.
Why not
Grinder?
season your own pig parts?
Matter of priorities. My alabaster skin needs protection from the disgusting creatures running amok amidst the environs. But one gets peckish. Look, all you have to do is
In what
listen
world
to
does she
the
look like
oink
RuPaul?
that
You're
shoots the
crazy.
snout. You may like the results. I certainly will.
That tweet of somebody saying Evan Peters looks like RuPaul. I was like, huh? Why he kind of looked like RuPaul. When you're a vegetarian, can you eat eggs? Or can you not? Oh, thank God. So I was like, how am I gonna enjoy my breakfast without... Because I'm gonna have to not eat bacon if I go pescatarian. I'm gonna have to give up chicken tenders. But you know. We'll try it. We'll see how it goes. I get vegan tendies. More expensive, but worth in the long run. I'm supposed to be using the pepper thing. It's veganism that doesn't allow animal products either. Vegetarian and vegan, no. Well, I'm going pescatarian, so is that cheating? I'm also not doing that for a couple more months, but I'm just wondering. Oh, wow. Get off me! I'm doing it for the health benefits. I don't give a fuck what the fuck I'm eating. Pick a side, bitch. You are so... Anyway, who likes cock? I do, I do! Weenum, I do!
Thank you so much for the snout. Now go away.
Damn, bitch. Fuck. What's the... Oh. That's how you clear. Hello?
Finish your soup, girls. Roll by the juveniles, gave their all for it.
Memories to all the flies. You know the flies. Trigger warning. Now you're just doing it on purpose, Maddie. Purposely getting the command wrong. That was the idea. Oh. You're so silly, Maddie. You're just such a silly Billy. Keep an ear out for the snouts. I'll show you a fucking snout. Gotta keep an eye out for Celine or... Oh, you're nasty. Hi, Denny! I die. Hi, Denny. Happy to see you. Hope you're doing so slay fierce today. Slay fierce the house down. Yes, God. Okay, we're gonna make it. Oh my God, who sings that song Domino? Dominoes, like we were talking about last stream. Oh, wow. Ew, the slugs? Girl. Jesse J. Oh, wow. Have you ever heard of this game, Denny? Can you please? You silly slugs. Please? Not Geronimo, I beg. Oh my God. This is like one of my favorite games of all time. It's Alice Madness Returns, and it's basically a dark adaptation of the Alice like series. Like in Wonderland, but like dark and like scary and bloody and horror. I'm really shocked you haven't heard about that. Or heard about this. What? It wants me to get a key. Girl, I don't have a key. Geronimo, Geronimo. I know house music is bopping to that song. Oh, wow. So what now? Her hair physics? Like, games nowadays wish. Like, look at this wig! This eats. Yeah, she devours. No, she's literally slaying. Go fund me right now for me to do a cosplay of this, and I'll do it. Slaying in every sense of the word. I agree. It's good. Let's not lie. RuPaul's music just like... what was that commercial challenge? They had to be like, RuPaul's music really made me feel great and something deep inside of me. It was season 4. They had to do commercials about music. I can't. You should. I think this entire time Marshall's been lying. I think Marshall is actually RuPaul's Australian husband. Let's inspect that hypothetical. See, the silence from Marshall is very telling. See? Exactly. Exactly. Not you, but to... I was getting water, I don't know what you said. Guys, no one tell Marshall what I just said. No one tell him. Literally make him rot. See, as a man, you shouldn't get out of your chair, ever, when watching my streams. As a man. You will submit to me and sit in your chair. Girl, please.
Hatter always hated mechanical malfunctions. This disaster is either his doing or his epitaph.
Exactly, House Music. You just get it. You just get it. You just get me. Oh my god. Can I sit on a donut? Hello? Can I pee here? I mean, she's gonna go pee right next to Tamar. What are those like do you guys hear those noises? What are these slurping noises? Someone's giving the Gluck Gluck 5000 over there. Ambient sucking and slurping. The slurpy sloppy toppy. Don't even say mac and cheese. I can't. That is so many of Oomphy's favorite food and I can't do it. Like, it could be any other food and I'd be happy. All the Oomphies love mac and cheese and I'm like, I can't do it. Eating mac and cheese at this moment. As you should. As you should. You know, I don't think it's toxic or anything that I'm like, don't eat mac and cheese in my presence. Like, not toxic at all. Hashtag Pisces moment. You're not allowed to eat in my can you please? Oh wait, you're not allowed to eat in my presence. Start slaying. No eating in this area. Does the pose. Who told you I have presents? Nev, in my head, you run every Pisces account on Instagram. True. Honestly, there are some that I look at and I'm like, I really want to post that on my story so like everybody knows like how I'm feeling that in this moment. But then some of them are kind of cringe. Like, hold on, let's just pull one up and like they're like kind of cringe. Here's one. I hate when they're like the mom posts. Hold on, I'll get it. These are the ones I don't like. Pisces be like, oh, I match energy, laughing emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji, IDGAF if we never talk again, quite frankly. Shut the fuck up! This one I see on every... This is the ones I see on every Pisces account, and it makes me so mad. Because this is not... We don't claim this. If you're a Pisces and claiming this, you're fucking dumb. I mean, it's true, but don't retweet this or post it. Ugh. Pisces be like, I'm semi-clingy in a relationship. I like my space, but I want you in my space while I have my space. If that makes sense. Laughing, crying emoji, laughing, crying emoji. Literally, turn off your phone and throw it in the river. I can't. See, mine's in the river now. I can't. I do enjoy the ones that are... Can you please die? Like, what is your... Can you fucking fuck off? The way I'm literally gonna die. Oh! Oh, the one heart, the one heart, the one heart. Already, like we just started this game, hello? I like the Pisces posts though that are like, actually that kind of like, I don't know. I just don't like the ones that are like Pisces be like and laughing, crying emoji. Like, shut up. My God. Also, who the fuck uses the laughing cry emoji? Like, actually, red flag. I use it maybe once when starting to talk to somebody, but that's like it. To like break the ice, but that's literally it. That's different. That's different.
It could have happened.
That's a bit.
Alice, you remember poor Mr. Crew died, didn't he? Dr. Wilson.
I'm unbearable because like literally right now, like in like 3 days, I'm gonna be sad and like spiraling, and then on fucking Instagram, I'm gonna retweet one of those cringe Pisces posts, and it's just gonna be like, girl, stand up. Is this who we are? Yes. Take notice, the Scorpio decides to drag me and then he gets quiet. Enters. Where are we going? Was I supposed to go here? I don't think okay. What's everybody's star signs? Can you guess mine? Was it obvious?
The Hatter's domain, almost as I remember it.
Appearances, as you know better than most, can be deceiving, Alice. Much has changed since your last visit.
The bot isn't on.
Bundy says change is constructive, that different is good.
Different denotes neither bad nor good, but it certainly
and I can't turn it on.
Not the same. Find the Hatter, Alice. He knows more about different than you.
But does he know more about the difference between bad and good?
Making friends, Alice. You're as randomly lethal and entirely confused as you ever were.
I've managed without you so far, Cat. Return to whatever hovels home to you. I'll call if I need you.
Predictably rash. It's not a question of if, Alice, it's when.
Who is this voice actor?
And as they say, shut up.
So typical.
What I've been watching recently that he sounds like.
I've made more graceful entrances. I suppose I must be grateful nothing's broken.
Is it in Teen Titans, Marshall? Because we've been watching it. No. It might be Slade. Is it? Also, I love in every area she gets a different fit. It's so cunt. I love it. Mojo Jojo, but also Ryan Reynolds. Please. Yeah, Def, you're right. Crack the code. Sorry, that was kind of nasty. I think you're funny, Denny. Sorry, that was even worse. I wish her hair changed. To what? I wish she got a nice wig change. A nice updo. Bald. Yeah, I wish they made her bald. Okay, well, I need to piss. My little piss slit has to leak. Hold on. I still don't think that's who I'm like referencing this to. Like, I think there's someone else that he's a voice actor for that. What's his name? Penis Face? Got it. I like Penis Face better. Mojo Jojo was in an episode of Teen Titans Go. Okay. I know who it is. I know who he is. You know who he is? He's in The Wolf Among Us as Ichabod Crane. You remember The Wolf Among Us when we played it forever ago? That's who it is. That's who I recognize the voice as. I need to replay that. Denny, thank you so much for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Generous. See, when the he/hims in the chat decide to actually, you know, when they do that, I don't want to say if there's like a competition on like where my eye goes, but if you gift some, I'm more apt to be like, oh yeah. Did they drop season 2 yet? No, I'm kidding, but thank you, Denny, for the gifted subs. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Keeping the lights on over here. There might be something else that I recognize him for. He voice acted in Fusion Fall. Okay. It's definitely Ichabod Crane from Wolf Among Us. Oh shit. Can you please?
Lizzie, remember when a burst of
I was thinking of replaying that game
up around
soon, because when we played it, our lighting was not it. Like the VOD is dead.
Fortunate your undergarments had been laundered.
I never played Walking Dead. I really have no desire to watch any of the seasons of Walking Dead. Like, actually, I really do not give a flying fuck about that show. That show is really stupid, in my opinion. Sorry. Very overrated, in my opinion. I don't hear a ghost face in his, like, voice from this. Like, at all. I don't know how y'all are like, oh, that's Ghostface. I can't hear it at all. Oh! Period! I fucking love y'all. Thank you so much for almost starting a hype train, Bean. Thank you for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you. Thank you so much, and TwitchCon's coming up, so thank you for, you know, paying it forward and helping me get with travel funds and stuff. Thank you. Oh, was he in Clock Tower? Is that it? Oh. Oh, the hype train hasn't started. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Where are the other hymns? Where's Curtis? Where is Curtis? We still have 4 minutes, though. 4 minutes. Are we competing right now? Thank you for gifting another tier 1 sub, Denny. Oh, buddy boy, thank you. Stop. Thank you guys so much for starting a hype train. And with all my traveling coming up, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. It helps me, even if what's his name takes my money. But it does help. Helps in the long run. To stare and have boobs. Me too. So I'll be doing that. You are so... He hymns rise. True. The he hymns are loud. But one of them isn't. 2 actually. Silent. I'm not seeing notification from 2 of them, and actually, crazy being, their badges are some of the further ones along. And they're quiet. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Everybody's gonna think that I'm like... Everybody already thinks that, so who gives a shit? I really don't care. Honestly... No, I'm not gonna say it. You know what? I will say it. How could you literally say you don't like money? Like, like, what do you mean? Like, everybody likes money. Like, literally, I like when people spend money on me because I'm pretty and I like the positive affirmations. Like, I just don't understand how you could be like, I don't know. I know streaming doesn't limit itself to like, I need the money. Like, I just joke about it. It's not that serious if I get money or not, especially after getting partner. Like, I've met my goal. I don't really need anything else. Maybe Elgato putting me on their partner team, but that's it. But like, I'm just here to look pretty and play games. I actually really don't give a shit. If you want to throw money at me, then thank you. I really appreciate it. Because it's going to pay for all the games in October, but... True, that's also another thing. Money versus happiness. Purely for money. I totally understand that. Like, if you're in a situation that, like, that's kind of what I did with streaming. Thank you, Fun. I don't know why my bit alert isn't working. I gotta fix that. But thank you for the 100 biddies. I totally understand, because that's what I did with streaming too. Like, I was, some months are harder than others because I'm doing freelance and full-time streaming, which is fine, but I'd rather be happy doing something. I always say this. Let me say this so it doesn't look like I'm just here grinding out everybody's wallets. I would rather do something I love and be happy. Okay, well, this isn't helping. Laser Jesus, thank you so much for 5 tier 1 subs, or 4. Oh my god, Red is gifting 4. Oh my god, y'all are, oh my god, stop, stop, like, actually stop, like, stop. Like, stop. Oh wow, okay, y'all popped off. No, stop, if you can't, you don't have to, please. Okay, let me say. I'd rather do something that I love and I am happy doing, like streaming, and not get a stable income or not be secure and some days not have a lot of money in my wallet, than do something like work a 9 to 5, be in pain, but have the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would rather do this, be happy, and possibly not have what I need to succeed in terms of money and longevity, than work a 9 to 5 and be unhappy and be upset and be not whatever. Yeah, did they add more levels to a hype train? That is new. Level 6. But thank you all for your generosity tonight. I know we're talking, like, I know it's like silly, like money, whatever, blah, blah. I can't scroll up because this game is very badly configured, but thank you, Red, Denny, Bean, Laser Jesus, everybody gifting subs, Colwitz earlier for the donation of 10, and the mods for being helpful tonight. Thank you. Hype trains have no limit. Is that true? Oh, wow. When did they add that? Huh. Did I just die? Oh, okay. But thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Let it be known, the sub revenue from this is definitely going towards Bayonetta 3. What are the games next month? Gotham Knight, all that fun stuff next month. Lots of game reveals next month. Oh, and then the horror game we're playing tomorrow. I'm so excited for that. Yes, I hope you guys enjoy my photo shoots, my concepts, my looks. All my stuff is supposed to arrive in the mail hopefully tomorrow, so we might get an early start on 13 streams of Halloween. I hope you guys enjoy the series. I do it every year. Any new channel members, I'm so excited for you to experience it. I know we didn't have a lot of people last year, but if you do want to see what happened last year, it's all on my YouTube channel. And then the year before that is on my YouTube channel as well, but it's an edited like clip compilation. Thank you, Maddie, for gifting 1 sub. Have you seen the trailer of the horror game that's called Ill? It's coming out next year. No, I haven't. What did it come out at? Like, how did we miss it? We do every gaming event. That's weird. Oh no! Oh my god, how did I survive that? But thank you guys. It's been a rough year, so not to be like gay on the live, but thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Maybe we did see it and I just didn't really pay attention. No, literally. Oh! Okay. Hi, safety. No, I don't even know, like, maybe it's because they fixed it in the mods, but yeah, I want to try that. What is it called? It's like Lies of P. A lot of these games I would try if I get my hands on them, like a key. I don't know if I would pay full price like I used to, which I'm happy that like times are advancing with like streaming content. Like a lot of like companies want to give their stuff to us so we can stream them, because before I was just buying the games at full price and then saying it was a flop and then throwing it away. So that Lies of P game does look good. I tried it at PAX West. So thank you guys for a hype train tonight. Thank you all. Thank you for your generosity. I really I don't even know how to like spread the gratefulness and like how I say thank you. Like I'm so bad and so traumatized from bad things happening to me, and so I'm not used to receiving good, so it's hard for me to be like, oh my god, thank you so much for your generosity. I don't even know how to take it, so thank you. Not these guys. These guys suck. Wait, that emote is so cute. What? The little bird. Slade. Not you saying hi to yourself. True. Thank you. Thank you, Bean. Okay, can I please not die right now? Okay. Girl, please. I'm like, why do I hear another one, but it's up there? But I think that's like, I appreciate you saying enjoy the content and games you want, because that's kind of what I feel like I do a lot here. I just really don't care about the algorithm. I just play whatever the fuck I want. It's kind of refreshing to just like relax and play whatever the fuck I want. As much as I want to do it for the bit and get DVD Fog Whisperer, I think it'd be so fucking funny. Why do you want me as Liza Minnelli for a stream? What? What is this fantasy? Nurse, he's out again. Why is this so hard right now? I picked easy mode. So who's playing Overwatch 2 with me when it comes out? I'm sorry to be that girl, but I feel like everybody's gonna try it, so let's be honest. Well, it's coming out with the Junkenstein thing, so I want to play the Junkenstein. That's why I like YouTube, because a lot of other streamers I watch just play the same thing every stream, which is fine, but variety is refreshing. Thank you. I appreciate it. Variety streaming is very hard. I'm glad I'm partner now, so I don't have to worry about the algorithm. Like, I actually don't care. I didn't care before I got the badge, but like being rewarded for the success of it felt good, so. And never touched it. Wow, that's This train emoji? Get off me. Oh, so... no trains rights? Wow. Damn. Feels bad. Grandmaster in Overwatch? Jesus. I don't think I ever did anything like that. I only got 1 gold gun, and I didn't even get it for Widowmaker. I got it for Ash. But that's because Gold Bob, I think that outsells. Your mom. No, your mom. Aha, got him! Are we still going up? What's happening? Oh. Yeah, I feel like everybody's gonna at least try it once. Like, there's no way. I'm a Widow player, but I'm not a good Widow player. That's where my drag name comes from. The Lacroix part, because her name is Amélie Lacroix. Lacroix. I just like loved her design, and like I just love like I love monster bitches, and Widowmaker to me is one of those monster bitches because she's like kind of a spider lady. Yeah, the battle pass I'm not sure how I feel about yet, but like sure. Slide. If I were to play right now, I'd probably lock in Symmetra or Ash or Symmetra. I just love playing Symmetra. Hello? Yeah, I watched one guy play Overwatch, and that's the extent of it. Because he's just like a dude, and he can play Overwatch and not a fear of being... Yeah. Well, I like that they're kind of getting rid of, like, freezes and stuff. They're also doing that in League, kind of, I think. League? No. Yes. Maybe? I think. I don't know. Discussions of ranked video game stuff. I'm just like, I'm here to look pretty and play in norms. I could never get into Valorant. I wish I could, but it's so hard. It's so hard to play on the surface. I'm so bad at it.
Our lovely library.
I've tried so many times to be good at it. It's not in the cards.
Conflagration waiting to happen.
I would if you want somebody to flop, then yeah, I'll play it with you, but I'm not gonna be good. I always feel like I play it with people and then like I get anxiety that I'm flopping so hard and making the team lose. Like it sends me into like an anxious spiral. I'm like, oh my god. I just like, I can't with playing, you know when you like get on comms with your friends to play games, I can't with like, all right, for the 500th time, let's get on Fortnite. Like, can we play something else? Like, what the? I have hysteria. Oh. I forgot she has this version. She looks so cunt. I loved that outfit. Wait, Halloween look change. I need to do that. That's so hot. So hot. I mean, I guess, like, I mean, it's fine, but like some days I'm just like, do we really have to play this game again? I don't know. Fortnite got a new season. I liked it for a day and I'm like, actually, maybe I'm kind of bored of this.
No.
I'm also burning myself out of Dead by Daylight 2 when I'm starting to like it again. I'm like,
no. Bad dream. A blasted good night.
Hatter, I recall leaving you in a decrepit condition. But not in pieces.
Oh, it's you.
What's happened here? You've lost your hat.
Me too.
And some parts are missing.
I check all the rotating shops and I'm good.
Being what they are. I barely
Playing for 13 hours straight will do that.
You should know that better than I. It's your place after all. I know my place.
When did you ever know your place? Or how to keep it? Now what's going on?
That's going on.
That's all I want to do too is play Dead by Daylight. It's bad. It's bad.
Down my gullet and whining in my guts.
Papa was exceedingly fond of trains. I don't like them much.
You won't like this one at all. Nothing like when Mock Turtle was in charge.
When Gotham Knights comes out, I fear for my health. I'm not going to take care of myself. I'm just going to play it all day.
Blinding, the noise,
Ah, quite, Hatter. I get the idea. A bad train.
The world is upside down, Alice. Inmates run the asylum. No thanks. And worst of all, I'm left tealess.
Tragic. If I do help, will you help me in return?
Cross my heart, if I had one. Find my limbs and toss them into the chute. Machines will do the rest. Be on your way now, that's a good girl. Best way out is through the croc face.
What? Wait, did he say cock face? Or did he say clock face? Did I hear that correctly? I heard cock face. I'm not crazy. The silence. Okay, I guess I heard cockface. I'm the only one that heard cockface. What's like what? Wait. Why are they giving me all these health things right now? I feel like I'm wasting it. Wait. I forgot how to do the bomb. Here we go. Boss fight! A boss fight! On my online friends will play a couple of games and then get off. I need people who will do nothing but stare at their screens. I agree, me too. Doing your nightly prayers with the wall. My mind. Yeah, I totally get that though. Like when I get onto this, listen, if you know me, or if you want to know me, one thing about me, if I get on a Discord call, I don't want to hang up for 5 hours, like minimum. I want to be in that call until we pass the fuck out and die. Am I clingy? Yeah. I'm not trying to play I'm not trying to play 2 games and log off. What the fuck is that? They're giving me so many items right now. What's happening?
It is better to give labor than to receive pay for it.
Oh wow. 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 I don't know what the umbrella button is because it was not explained to me with controller. Oh wow. Okay, here we go. I did a good job. Oh. I know, I say all that like, yeah, guys, let's hang out. But literally my October is jam-packed. Like, I'm pathetic. I'm unbearable. Hello? I'm not really sure what it wants me to do right now. Hi, Jacob! What is hello? I have been so slay fierce. How have you been? Besides doing this boss fight is not very slay fierce. I don't know what's happening. Okay. Listen, you don't have to. Oh, there we go. How have you been doing your thing? Where are you going? Hey guys, I did it. Very proud of me. Wow. I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Australia. I want to go to Australia. I want to go to the UK. I want to go everywhere. I love traveling. Goals next year are definitely Gamescom in the UK, and then I think PAX Australia I definitely want to do. Do I have to shoot that thing? Really? I really want to do that next year, definitely. Am I supposed to? Oh, whoa. Oops. I know for a fact I will be traveling this winter. I literally don't care. I can't be where I'm at this winter. Winter is terrible. I don't care what I have to do. Fighting for my life here with the winters. It's horrendous. Do we get to go on a little ride? Whee! I know. It's so atmospheric and I love the like the vibes of it. How do I change my outfit?
The dimensions of this desolate tract are unknown to all but the inhabitants.
Why do I have to go to the main menu? That's gay. How do I save? Like, I feel like if I leave, it's gonna be like, you didn't save and you have to redo the entire game.
Not a cheap slogan. We really care. Fight the good fight. Work until you inspire. Substantial reward reflect. It is better to give labor than to receive payment. Words to live by. You can eat them too. A worker's paradise. And you don't have to die. Not a cheap slogan.
Oh, this is the rabbit.
The industry thrives on suffering, obsolescence, and ruination. It's made the East End into a privy. Consider a simple farm life in Australia, perhaps. We might liquidate what remains of your...
He just said Australia. We were just talking about that. Depth of field? Very good tea. I got it this time. I feel like I can just make this. Hey guys, I was wrong. Oh, we already did, baby. There was just like a random hype train for like literally no reason. Wait, is that why? Like gifted subs? Yeah, I saw an email about that. So they decided to make gifted subs the last week of this month discounted when it should have been that the entire month long. Okay, guys. They're stupid as fuck. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. No, they're so shady boots. Hello? I just instantly died. Well, you know what, Marshall? Your mom. I can't believe I just said that. Can we need a shout out for Gats, please? If anyone would care to do that. I also saw your message this morning. I just haven't been able to like sit down and reply to it, babe. I'm so sorry. I'll do it like when I'm in the shower after this stream. I don't get to my messages like literally until... Oh, the bot's off! Okay, well, no shout out, I guess. So sorry. Oh, baby. You tell me a time and place, I'm there. I have nothing planned right now, babe. Like, actually nothing planned. The only thing I have planned is going to see the drag show and then an after party. I'll tell you those times. But in terms of the convention, like nothing. No, the bot's off and I forgot to turn it on, and if I tab out of this game, it's gonna crash the stream, so I can't do that right now. But everybody please follow my friend. My friend, Ronda Rousey. You weren't there for that era, Marshall. Like, literally, Natty wouldn't stop calling Ronda Rousey her best friend. It's like, my friend, Ronda Rousey. Hilarious. Hilarious. Can you crawl in this game? Oh, I forgot you can do this. Penis! Very scary penis moment. I did it.
Work until you inspire. Substantial rewards
I did it. That's not the way to go. You know what, actually? No. The way if I really wanted to, I could probably beat this in one stream, but I don't wanna. Oh! Oh! Okay, I did it. I actually don't think I could beat this in one stream. I don't know why I said that. Boss fight? What is happening? Oh, I don't enjoy this. 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 I'm not having fun tonight. I'm Lady Gaga sad. My anxiety levels, my anxiety levels, my anxiety levels, my anxiety levels. My anxiety levels. I can't. Okay. Oh! See, that's why I wasn't enjoying it. Oh, the enemies don't reset. Oh, then we can just fight out here. That's no tea. Can you please? Where is the class? Oh! I know you're lying. Hey, ow. Can you please? I'm sensing the lack of a sisterhood. I want to fight something that's gonna make me shit my pants. Sorry. I forgot how much platforming is in this game. I thought it was more hack and slash based, but it's not. It's like literally platforming down. Are those chickens? Okay, wait, but I'm like kind of speedrunning this. Like we just started the game. I'm kind of like doing the most. My mind is so powerful. Like girl boss moment. You think you can outwit me? Tried to sneak one upon me. I got you. Giggles. Giggles demurely.
Your dogged persistence will be rewarded with pain. I told you to cease and desist, but my warning goes unheeded. So without regret, you're about to feel like a lobster who's being tossed into the boiling pot.
Whatever he said. I feel like an S word. No, you should. It's fun for me and you. Oh! Kinda hot. Okay. Anyway. Boom. And there it is. True. I'm with you, kitten. Don't say that! Uh-oh. Redacted. What the?
Aha! That's it. I can feel it surging. Faster, my fine feathered friends. Don't stop now.
Wait until I do a subathon. That'll be when you really get the rush. Into the rush now. Don't have to know how. I need to do a subathon. I don't know why I haven't, because I really want to beat the 47 hours we were at. Like, I want to do that. I want us to get 48 hours. Hello? I'm glad there's no lives in this game. It's very slay. Where am I? I think there was a safe path that I just didn't take because I'm an idiot. No, I wouldn't do that to you. I'd have to set it, like, I needed it to be a date that everybody knows. I can't just do it simultaneously or spontaneously. Happening right now. Close call. But we slayed that. I know, I'm gonna finish this boss and then call it, because I need to make some food. Because I'm hungies, but thank you. I'll talk to you later, maybe. Have a good night, Zenny. How do I... The way I forget how to play this game. In seconds, really. Here we go. Oh, this was a secret. I didn't have to come through here. I did this last time. Oh. Oh! I didn't think that was gonna shot. Oh my god. My butthole was so clenched. That actually scared me. Anyways. twins.
No, stop! That's enough now! Now stop your
Oh, I gotta
running.
add a
Neither
game I
of you
really want to
chaps.
play to my list of Halloween games.
You think
But I
that
think
can
it says
stop
some
us?
nasty
Give me
words in
this
it.
trifle. I'll be
But I
leaving
really
now.
want to play
Never
it.
catch me. Don't even try.
What? Oh, I was like, he went up. Wait, why are we going down? He went up. We have to go chase him. What are you doing, weirdo? Alice, what are you doing?
Dexterity will make a nice change. Expect no thanks until I'm completely reconstructed. No resting on laurels, chiffoniers, chaise lounges, mean folding chairs, stools.
We already did that. Where does it want us to go now? I don't remember what is happening. Does it want us to go back up? Oh, it does. It wants us to go the other way. Okay. Like, what?
A good worker is a live worker, free to live and work. A bad worker is a dead worker, and vice versa. Don't be a bad worker. Bad workers are slaves and dead. Payday for good
I remember this part, like, vividly.
indefinitely. Payday for bad workers is cancelled. A good worker is a live worker, free to live and work. Payday for good workers has been postponed indefinitely. Payday for bad workers is cancelled. A good worker is a live worker, free to live and work.
I literally remember this so vividly, it's like scary. I remember who was in chat. I remember what we were talking about. Like, that's scary. Is that something we can shoot? Oh! I don't want my shirt to fall off again. Oh. Okay. I like that this looks like pizza. I want pizza. Well, I thought, what the? I just spawned. Cut it out. I just want Domino's. Like, I could literally fuck up Domino's so good, but they don't deliver in my area. Like, delivery in my area is so hit or miss. It's so weird. Like, sometimes they'll deliver as far as the world sees, or they don't deliver at all. And for Domino's, I think that's so bizarre. I feel like Domino's should deliver to where I'm at. Oh, slay. I didn't know you could just kill them like that. That makes my life so much easier. Speedrun. Oh my god! I thought it was gonna go into the lava. Like it was gonna sink into it. Oh no! Damn it. It's so bad. I just want, like, I will literally pay you to get me a pizza. Pizza, pizza. But no. And then my boneless chicken. Ooh, I want it so bad. Their chicken, I don't know what they put in their chicken, but it's so good. Like their boneless, like their nugget chicken. Oh, so good. So good. Ice, ice, baby. Can't stop me. Okay, maybe you can. Nope, goodbye. Speedrun. I don't like stuff with like bones in it. I don't like ribs and chicken wings, and I don't like that. That's not, it's not fun for me. Like, I'm biting into it and it hurts my teeth. Like, you're fighting with your food. I'm like, I'm cool, actually. But that's me. Just know if we go out, I'm not getting anything with, you know. the fight music when there's no one here for me to fight. Like, are you done?
Your cat has 9 lives, Alice. I hope you have as many.
I think it's glitched. So the drums are not supposed to be playing right now. Like, they need to cool it. Right now the drums can play because there's people to fight. I don't know how to save. Is it auto-save? There's no save.
Your presence here is unwelcome. We have a mission to complete, and you are an intolerable annoyance. Some like it hot, but no one likes it this hot.
Okay, really? That was so unnecessary. Yeah, I like, now the music's better. Thank God. Ow. I could have faked it and done the other side. I literally dodged that. Are you lying? You've got to be joking me. It's supposed to be lava, but I said it looked like cheese too. That's what I said, organic. Welcome in, they, them. Stan, they, thems. Stan list. Can you die, this stupid teapot? Okay, freak. I hate it here. Speaking of nachos, I want nachos. I'm gonna make nachos later. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna get nachos. Literally. I fucking hate this level. I remember doing this when we played it the first time and getting angry too. IDGAF. I don't. I'll pass on the poutine. I love my life. Please don't fall. Why is it raining lava on it? Why? Why? What? No! I've never had it, and it doesn't sound good.
I've got the arms you need. Well, strictly speaking, the Hatter needs them. Well, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to crush you.
You're not doing a good job of it, Miss Ma'am. I'm so sorry. You flop. How do I get over there? It looks like over here.
Then the path less traveled is now impossible to negotiate. You can't reach me. No, not at all.
Are you sure about that? Stupid. Hey, Spellman. Okay. I know, I want that. Hi, Brazil. So true. Yes, I have. Any other questions? Carol, welcome in. Happy to see you.
A temporary setback, a minor hindrance, a trivial impediment. I'll just move along. I'll deal with you later, Alice.
Where do they
You'll never
go?
stop our grand plan.
What's happening? Can you please? With that lever, crawl. Wrong lever. This time they make me walk over. Damn. Welcome in, happy to see you. Good morning. It's pretty late for you. Anybody that's just I'm so excited for you, Kara. Yes, you already copied and pasted that same question in my chat. Do not spam my chat. I answered your question. But thank you so much for your curiosity. Very nice. I'm so excited for you, Kara.
I've finished my work and you're complete, Hatter. Now, what about this damnable train?
I feel
AM,
like a
6:20
man,
AM.
or whatever I am. I feel like an unsprung spring, like an uncorroded gear, like an untarnished bit of metal that sticks in your eye.
Answer me, Hatter. I'm suffering. And changes here are a cause, or they're a reflection, or the effect. What's going on? What are the new rules?
The law is just a whisper away home to wonder who knows how to measure rules with a ruler. Cruel rules.
Idiot. I should have left you in bits. Come, the least you can do is help me discover what's going on.
AM. I didn't know it was that, like, that far, like, that close in times, because it's like 1:30 AM here, 1:20 AM. So it's just 5 hours apart, I guess. Ooh, pretty. I'm excited for you. That's awesome. I wish we could just change our outfit, like, mid-chapter. Like, why do we have to... But welcome in. Anybody that's just joining, like I was gonna say, we are streaming tomorrow. It's a pretty big day tomorrow. We have Genshin update, and then we have this new analog horror game that I really, really want to play. So I will be ending soon, but I'll be live again tomorrow. Can you please? Hi Dylan, happy to see you. How you doing?
Makes the library smell like rotted fruit. I'm certain these solutions are toxic.
Resume the folly. All aboard.
Slay. How do I... What does this part do? How do I progress? It's gonna be so
These
good.
cockpits will be our macadam, our road into assemblage.
Oh, I remember
Hurry, Jarvis.
this.
I'll get this door open.
I remember this kind of being dookie. Key, are you a Genshin fan? Or are you more of a horror fan?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens. Ah, there! Now I've got it!
Am I a Nikki fan?
Oh yes, I'm on a roll. It won't be long now.
My eyes are getting heavy! Oh my god. I'm one of these guys. I say my eyes are getting heavy, but I'm gonna be up until like the ass crack of dawn. So true, B. Up all night to get lucky. Up all night to get lucky. Slay. Slay Miko. Mother Miko.
I can't make a bubble forever.
Yeah, it's coming out tomorrow, so like I'm trying to play it on release so I don't get spoiled or anything on TikTok or whatever. But it looks really good. It's like PS2 haunted horror inspired. It looks really good. Oh no, Razormaid is completely valid. I main Beidou.
I really look
love
like
women.
I know. Your judgment must be severely impaired.
I also I love some of the men that like, oh wow. Okay, can we time that out? That's very inappropriate. Like I'm so sorry. Like we don't need to trauma dump. It's okay. It gets fine. I appreciate your sentiment, but we really don't need all that. Thank you for sharing though. George Lopez time, please. Dun, 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 dun. No, Razor's like a good pick, except for that the new character is like a better version of him because he has like the wolf form with this like all the knives and stuff that comes out literally tomorrow. So I feel bad for Razor mains. When they release a 5-star character of one of their 4-star characters, and it's like, I feel so bad for the original. I'm like, ugh. Like when Yoimiya came out, poor Amber. Poor Amber. I'm excited for the story though tomorrow because Sumeru's story has been good so far, and I just want to be on camera for my reactions. Like I just want to like, because I was gagged at how good Sumeru's story was. Like I just want to have live reactions to the next part of the story. And I promised I was gonna keep doing the story quests because I cried at Shenha's when we did it on stream, but I haven't held up that end of the deal. Hey, Aphrodite. Yes, it's a desert, so it's like pyramids and desert inspired. It's gonna be so pretty because the whole region is inspired by the Middle East, and it's like gorgeous, stunning, like rainforests and like really cool
shaking, but are those two quaking?
Architecture.
You'll never stop us, silly Hatter and Alice.
But the next area they're adding the pyramids and the desert. Stunning.
Execrable table manners. They are destroyers of Wonderland. Defilers, denuders, derangers. Delightful,
Did they actually create that infernal train to destroy Wonderland?
What does that matter? They deserve to die.
Take me to Wonderland.
Down this instant, I ought to...
Enough talk. Battle time, Missy.
Oh, boss fight? Boss fight.
Abandon false hope. Forget the past. The damage is done.
Let the madness begin. Resume the folly.
Oh no!
Flops. I think the tea here is that this was really supposed to be a boss fight, but they cut it out because it was too much budge.
Oh, my precious domain. And the guests. All I really wanted was another tea party.
Please, Hatter, you promised. Where is that train going? What's its purpose? Tell me, now.
There's no time for whatever it is you want to talk about. It's time for tea. Talk trains with Turtle. He ran the Looking Glass line. Come on, you lot. We can still be friends. I've got a fine Darjeeling.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, they didn't have time to
My
program
memories
it.
are shattered. I'm trying to collect the pieces, and I now believe the
Well,
train
I'm happy.
impedes
I don't
me.
have to do
You
that
must
fight.
help me.
You
You promised.
Ask the one who helps them what helps themselves, whoever that is.
Very pithy.
Yeah, we beat it.
He deserved to
We
die.
did it! Easiest boss
I'm
fight of my
about to
life.
drown in tea, in ignorance.
Take me to Wonderland. What is that song? It's by someone. It was on my playlist for so many years. Hold on. Wonderland.
Caught my very own river nymph.
Saints be praised that he works in
Natalie
mysterious
kills.
ways.
Natalia
Got
kills.
plans for her.
Take her over to the Mangled Mermaid. Rent a bed.
Hard to woo a girl mixed a brawl.
Do you think you're doing?
What comes natural like?
Not natural to me. Get away.
My playlist on Spotify, I Love Being Trans. It's a good playlist. I have Hot Femme Summer, then Pisces Princess, and then I Love Being Trans. Slay playlists. Let me just make sure an autosave
Reminds me of
somewhere.
my snowdrop. Nanny knew her.
I love the real world. It's pretty. I can't believe you can play the American McGee's Alice. That's so cool. Definitely gonna have to like figure that out. Oh wait, I didn't want to do this. I want to hit the equip button. How did I do that? I somehow just did it. How did I... No, go back. How did I do that? I switched her dress. Oh, this is Gaggy. Oh! Oh! These fits! The flesh one is my favorite. Gaga. Wow. Meat cleaver. Oh, that's so cool. That's so fucking awesome. I love this meat dress. They gagged me. Wow. Well, we will inspect that dress and the next chapter another time, because we're not going to be able to play it tomorrow because we're playing that new horror game that comes out. So we will make this part of our schedule. We are currently working through Sun and Moon, and now Alice Madness Returns. But tomorrow we're going to hopefully do in one stream this new horror game that comes out. And then Genshin, and then we should be on track for Halloween season. And I wouldn't be mad at starting it off possibly with this game. Just doing our thing with this game. So, excuse me. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for helping and supporting through the technical difficulties. I'm just gonna end now because I literally can't. I like literally cannot. My game is full screen and my computer's gonna crash essentially. But I'll be live again tomorrow. Everybody make sure you come back tomorrow. I'm really excited for this game we're playing tomorrow. Excited to play Genshin tomorrow with you guys. Super low key. If you're not into horror, we're gonna play Genshin afterwards at 11 o'clock. We will be there at the top of the hour for the release. And then other than that, yeah, we're gonna have a good time tomorrow. I'll do a sexy stunning look like always. But thank you for being here. I love having you here. Thank you for the sub hype train, September sub badges. Any donations are definitely appreciated to keep the network going, all of the games we buy, all the technology. And if you just want to support me and send some money over, you can do that if you want to. Everywhere my Tip info is in the chat and the YouTube VODs in the description below. If you have an email you want to send me, you can send me an email. My email is on my social medias. If you want to join the Discord, you can go to the Discord. If you want to DM me on Twitter, you can DM me on Twitter. And yeah, I'm excited for Halloween season. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.